Okay, good morning everybody and welcome to this Smart Charts European session. Hope you're all well. Alright, so Tuesday we have Canada's consumer price inflation report coming out. Inflation is a big deal for currency traders, and inflation measures the change in the price of goods and services, and it's an important metric because central banks use inflation as a target to set their interest rate policy. And generally speaking, when inflation is rising or forecasted to rise, this is where central banks tend to increase interest rates to get people to spend less in the economy and save a bit more in an interest account, make borrowing a little bit more expensive, just to bring down prices overall. And when an economy is forecasted to have a lower inflation, this is where central banks start to cut interest rates to get people to spend a little bit more in the economy, just so things don't go down too quickly. So it's a bit of a balancing act between the central banks. Now, Canada's report is expecting inflation to fall from 2.7% to 2.5% on a year-on-year figure. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any major surprises, because that's what we look for, essentially news failures, okay? Because we know everything's already priced in. What we're looking for is, well, several things, okay? First of all, risk management, making sure you're not too heavily overexposed to the Canadian dollar when you're trading the intraday charts in front of a news announcement, because if it's a bit volatile, you might get hit on all your trades in a short period of time. Second thing is, are there any surprises, okay? Because everything's already priced in. We know this from the work we do on your day one of your trader certification 3-day Learn Forex workshop, okay, in terms of how the market works, how the flows are created by the large institutional speculators, and how it all works behind the scenes. So we know everything is already priced into the market. So if there's any surprises, if there's a really big number or a really small number, it can cause a lot of people to readjust their positions, which can sometimes lead to some really good quality trends, okay? Not all the time, but our job as traders is to be prepared, is to wait for the clues, all right? And also it can help confirm a trend as well. You know, if you're seeing a market rally because everyone believes it should be worth more in the future, you get positive economic data to show the economy is strong, you know, it can confirm the sort of long-term trend that you're in, okay? Now, in this instance though, I would be a bit mindful about trading the Canadian dollar, because yesterday on the US presidential inauguration day, Donald Trump signed many different executive orders covering lots of different things, and one of those orders was a potential 25% tariff on goods from Canada and Mexico, okay? So actually overnight, since he signed that, we've seen some huge moves in the Canadian dollar already some really whipsaw price action sort of up and down. And there is potential for tariffs on all the other countries as well, but he hasn't signed that as an executive order yet. So again, it could be quite volatile with all these different sort of news announcements in the early days of the presidency, all the different policies that will be announced. So just be a bit mindful from a risk management perspective. So the Canadian dollar, the Mexican peso pretty much got dumped across the board overnight as Trump signed these tariffs. So you can see this actually inside of Smart Charts from your Tools tab. Okay, so if you look at your Tools tab inside of Smart Charts, your currency strength index, you wake up in the morning and you see, boom, Canadian dollar, the weakest currency across the board, okay? Which is, you know, in the Asia session, you're thinking, well, why is everyone dumping the Canadian dollar in Asia, right? In Japan and so on. It's because of the order that has been signed in. So again, I think we've got to be a little bit mindful, okay? It's caused a lot of volatility, and obviously what we like to do here is try and buy the strong currencies or sell the weak currencies if you're a trading continuation trader on the lower time frames, or if you're a bit more of a medium to high time frame trader, then we look to see what has been strong, what has been weak, and then maybe look for these to reverse, okay? Maybe there's some profit taken if it's coming in some big levels or something. So if you go to like the charts tab, for example, you can see, look at US dollar against the Canadian. Let's go to the intraday chart. Look how whipsawy and spiky this price action is, you know, big move down, big move up. I mean, you're just going to be a little bit mindful here, especially if you go down to like an intraday chart or something like this. If you go down to one of your fast time frame strategies like dollar CAD, so you can see here, okay, you know, big swings down, you know, big swing up. So we just want to wait for this sort of stuff to settle down, okay? And what we want to be doing is just looking for the charts and the setups that we go through on your day 1 of your trade certification workshop, day 2 and day 3, right? Because our job simply is real-time pattern recognition, where we like to see beautiful cycles developing off moving averages when we're trading a trend. So for example, something that I've missed early on in the morning because the markets already moved very quickly was actually gold, right? Because look at this on the phase changer strategy on the daily chart. So in this instance, your phase changer strategy is one that actually helps to identify any momentum trends developing in the market. And it utilizes moving averages, the yellow line and the blue line on the chart, which give you a smooth line of price direction, and relative price patterns like ring highs and ring lows. Now, on top of what Smart Charts is finding, right, because it's finding a lot of stuff for us, okay, there's only a few things that we look for ourselves. Remember, if you're not familiar with how Smart Charts is helping you, make sure you're reviewing all your e-learning materials in the Learn section of Smart Charts, attending all those courses, reviewing all the videos. I mean, there's fantastic information there, you know, to help you learn more about trading the financial markets. Make sure you're attending all your live trading events, okay, so your online classes, webinars, boot camps, workshops, all those online training events, interact live with the traders, okay, to help identify opportunities, to learn more. Make sure you're attending all your coaching sessions to review your journal data, so your coach and mentor can identify your strengths and weaknesses and help you to tailor and customize a trading plan to your strengths and weaknesses, okay? So tons of resources available to you inside of Smart Chart. Just make sure you're utilizing all of those resources available, okay? But from your trade certification 3-day Learn Forex workshop, we know we get Smart Charts to do a lot of the legwork for us, right? So we don't have to turn up at the end of each daily bar, 4-hour bar, 1-hour bar, 30-minute bar, 15-minute bar, start clicking on every single marker there is, start analyzing every single one of those for everything that we're looking for. It's, you know, it's more than a full-time job, okay? So we get Smart Charts to find a lot of stuff for us, and then we just look for 1 or 2 things ourselves. That is it. So every time I'm turning up, I just turn up, go to strategies, click some of the flashing markets, and just go through a simple checklist, 1 or 2 steps, done, okay? It's that level of focus, consistency, objectivity, which helps us to navigate the season and adapt to all the different situations that are going on. Helps us to filter out all the noise, right? Helps us to filter out all the emotions, because we're going in with a high level of focus. And of course, we can take that focus then and train and condition ourselves every single week to have 100% belief and confidence in following a plan, following a process, through the work we do on your day 3 trade certification Learn Forex workshop, the back testing and forward testing work, all right? So a couple of things that we look for. First of all, as many of you already know, regular viewers, I like to trade in the moving average zone. That's basically being on the yellow line, on the blue line, anywhere in between that is fine. Why? Because it gives me a focus. Okay, I can say that, look, if buyers have turned up in this moving average zone before, okay, maybe they could potentially turn up here again today. Right? If buyers have turned up here before, maybe they can turn up here again today. So it just gives me a focus. That's the first thing that I look for. Second thing, just want to see some kind of visible level of support and resistance. So it could be like a horizontal line. So, you know, previous highs they can break through, and what was resistance can also act as now support. All right. Sometimes you can get trend lines, an angle of price where buyers have been turning up before, okay, for a continuation. So what we look for is a confluence of support levels, okay, and that's it, good to go, all right. And then Smart Charts do the rest of the work for you. Click the up arrow, populate an entry price at the blue dot, stop loss at the red dot, target the green dot, and then your job is done, okay. But we had a lot of moves overnight, okay, in the Asia session. So if you're trading the Asia session, then you may have been trading that. Obviously, sometimes you can wake up in Europe and there's like some really big moves and things have already gone away from your entry, and that's fine, okay. You can't miss a trade if you weren't actively there to see it, all right. But there's plenty of other different trading opportunities developing throughout this morning and throughout the course of the day as well. So what are we focused on? Well, actually, we've been focusing a lot of the yen pairs this week because we know we have the Japanese news announcement coming out later in the week from the Bank of Japan, the interest rate announcement. And there's some nice technical setups here, okay? So in this instance, if we look at Swiss yen, what do you notice? It looks pretty much the opposite of the gold chart. the gold was going up and it was cycling against the moving averages on the charts. Now this is going down, but cycling against the moving averages on the chart. Because look, right now, you know, we're in the moving average zone, right? So that's where I like to trade, on the yellow line, on the blue line, anywhere in between that. We can see that, look, sellers have turned up in this moving average zone before. Okay, well, maybe they could turn up here again. There's potential. We can see, actually, look, these low points, okay, what was support, price is now broken through. Could this act as a level of resistance? So what was support could turn into resistance. Great. And we have this angular price kicking in here as well, where sellers have been turning up before. So what do we end up having? A confluence of resistance areas, okay? And we just look for literally a couple of things, right? And we can use that focus and navigate so many different types of opportunities and trends and conditions of different time frames, different markets, with one singular focus. And that's the key, isn't it? Right? Because there's so many different things you can be doing, so many different headlines, this, that, and the other. You've really got to get the focus to find that performance, right? A lot of people don't talk about that. A lot of people talk about trying to predict something that's going to happen, right? Trying to get involved in the market too late. Oh wow, this market just moved. Oh, should I buy it? Should I sell it? What should I do? Again, you want to find performance, consistent performance over the long term that's sustainable. You've got to focus on yourself. You've got to focus on what you're looking at. You've got to have a focus and just turn that focus out as many times as possible, all right? So on top of helping to identify opportunities, smart charts will also help with the most important work, which is risk management. Click the down icon, populate an entry price at the blue dot, stop loss at the red dot, target the green dot, and we'll do all the risk and portfolio management calculations for you. And I like to set an expiry off a current bar close and decline or accept the trade here at the bottom. Okay, and you can adjust all those price levels according to your own user preferences. The key there is to keep the risk low. Make sure you're able to deal with the random distributions of wins and losses that develop throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. Okay, so in this instance, if sellers don't turn up and continue this move lower, as they've turned up in this moving average zone before, as they've turned up on this resistance level before, if they decide not to turn up again and get through the entry level, this pending trade will expire. Didn't win, didn't lose, and didn't cost anything. But if they do decide to turn up and get through the entry level, that will then trigger into a live open trade. Either it then goes to the target level, the green dot, or it goes to the stop loss level, the red dot. So either it turns into a winning trade or a losing trade. Okay. Now, I mean, there is potential if you look big picture here on Swiss yen. I mean, we've got some really, really big levels of support. And sometimes the market does like to gravitate towards these big levels of support. Okay. There are some intermediate levels of support here in the way as well. But in this instance, we may consider just moving the target maybe down to some of these low points here, maybe into this sort of zone, and then I can just accept that update. And just in case if it does want to run, you know, maybe we can squeeze out a little bit more water risk if it is there. But maybe if it does come to these low points, we'll start to cover, maybe take some profits off the table, scale out, and then see if the rest of the position can run to maybe some of these other significant low points. All right. So let's see if we do get a bit of a run here on the yen this week. All right, look, that is it from me. I'm going to wish you all the best for your trading, and I'll speak to you next time. Bye for now.